we have very small and marginal farmers, and if these small and marginal farmers do not make money, the economy is shattered. What we did, what we could actually do, is come up with those initiatives to handhold farmers through RBKs, setting up of Raitu Bharosa Kendras where every village has one, where you have an agricultural graduate sitting in those villages, in those RBKs, where everything from seed to sale of crop is handheld through these RBKs. And with such kind of micromanagement, also incentivizing farmers with production incentives as well, that farming sector could survive. This is one major sector which actually comes to give you a support for the employment. Then the other major sector, which is another sector which actually supports, is MSMEs. MSMEs also, the one word to speak of, talking about industries, mega industries, big industries constitute maybe 3 lakh, 4 lakh jobs. You're talking about MSMEs which actually constitute more than 30 lakh jobs. There per se, the employability rate is more. Every MSME is small, but yet employs more number of people when conversion ratio takes place from investment perspective. But these 30 lakhs, these 3 lakhs, these 4 lakhs, these are not the numbers. Dominantly self-employed sections. Self-employed sections constitute a primary more than 1.5 crore population, which actually should be doing well for the economy to do well. And through various schemes, various platforms, we've ensured that these self-employed sections are handheld, given support through various schemes. You know, before, I'll give you an example. Before we had come in, we were talking about self-help groups, which actually constitute more than 1 crore of women. Before we had come in, these self-help groups had an NPA and outstanding loans to the extent of 18%. Today, the same self-help groups, the outstanding loans and the NPAs, if one were to look at in this sector now, it is just 0.3%. And 1 crore of women livelihoods are dependent on that. Same word, if one were to see the same thing, in every scheme like Vahana Mitra, which talks about self-employed sections who actually are driving the cabs or actually driving the autos. If economy there fails, the entire state fails. We're talking about barbers. We're talking about so many such self-employed sections running into lakhs and together running into crores, which actually have been supported so as to render phenomenal growth rate. In fact, when we had come in 2018-19, our state was figuring probably the least among the states in growth rate, in GSDP growth rates. The last year numbers, if one were to say, we're figuring in top 5 states in the country. If GSDP growth rate were to be figured in. Similarly, every initiative that we've taken in supporting every sector, the MSMEs for instance, our state can boast about that we had ensured that timely MSME incentives were given even during the times of COVID. That actually protected the MSME sector So much so that today, the kind of growth that we have seen in MSc sectors was so unprecedented, never so happened in the state of Andhra Pradesh. In fact, the reasons have resulted in the state's manufacturing GVA, when viewed as a percentage of India's manufacturing GVA, increasing to 4% during 2019 to 24 from the corresponding figure of 2.9% during 2014 to 19. That was the previous regime. That is the kind of GVA contribution. State's manufacturing GVA when compared to a percentage of India's manufacturing GVA, if one were to compare. We're actually contributing 4% now versus in the previous regime, contributing to only 2.9% in those days. As I've said, the state's services sector contributes to only 40% of the state's GVA when compared to the national average of 55% and when compared to Telangana's state's average of 63%. Now, this is a position that was occasioned by the state's bifurcation that has deprived Andhra Pradesh of Hyderabad city and the economic benefits associated with it. Now, how do we bring about a change which would actually help boost the state's economy? Now, what do we do about Vizag? Now, how do we boost Vizag's growth story so that ultimately we come across a situation where at least 10 years down the line, starting today, at least we compete with Hyderabad or we compete with Bangalore or we compete with Chennai. So what exactly does Vision Vizag, Vision Visakha mean? Until and unless we think in those terms, until and unless we have passion for this particular place, for this particular city, this vision can never be visualized, can never be obtained, can never be realized. A lot of people, in fact, when I speak of these words, when I say the first thing what anybody should be doing is to come and stay here as a chief minister. If I were to say this, unfortunately we have an opposition in the state, and we also have a lot of vested interests and also a negative media with vested interests who support the opposition. I think many of you also are aware of it.